And what kids really want is the ability to go hang out with their friends in public spaces where there aren't any parents and adults who are supervising them. They want to be able to hang out with all kinds of different people and meet new people. They want to have a place that they can go and catch up and gossip and flirt and fall in love and compare notes and just hang out. And there's no place to do that geographically outside of their home, so a lot of times they're doing it with their devices. They'll find a way. And today, the easiest way is to get on their devices. So I think sometimes we look at those things in a negative way, but in essence what they're saying is we want to connect. We need that time and that space, and we don't give it to them. Let me talk a little bit about social media and why kids might like it and why they're so attracted to it. Connection for kids is their social security. They like technology because it keeps them in the loop. They like the technologies, whether it's phones or Instagrams or Facebook or those kinds of things, because it keeps them up to date. They know what's going on. And because if they feel like they miss it for a while, they feel like they're missing out. They're going to get left behind. And especially for girls, they're going to lose their friends. I don't think that their gadgets, I don't think the texting, I don't think all those networking sites, I don't think they cause all the drama that we're all worried about today, but I do think it magnifies it. Because they can't get away from it. And because it's sort of 24/7. And there's less time to think. So because of that, I think it's made it harder. It's hard for them to stay out of the drama. It's hard for them to turn it off. I think that right from the start, I think the kids should have to earn the ability to have any kind of technology, whether it's TV, video games, computer games, phones, text, sites, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, any of those things. I think any one of those things that they're asking for should be earned. I think I would let them know right from the start it's not an entitlement. It's not like your right to have one because everybody else has one, or because you're 12, or because you're 8, or because you're 8. It's something that you earn. I also want us to encourage them, educate them, the importance of having different friends in different groups. Because if these two are my best friends, then these two are having a fight, and then they're trying to get me to come into the middle of it, which is what happens a lot. And I don't want to do that. If I have this other table of people I'm also friends with, I can say, you know what, I'm not willing to get involved. I'm going to hang out over here for a while until you guys, take care of your stuff. If there's drama going on or stuff going on you don't like in one group, you can go to another group for a while until things calm down over here. It's just really healthy. They need to be spending quiet time expressing their feelings. Because if feelings build up, then it's much easier for them to then lash out at people. It's easier for them to have meltdowns. It's easier for them to be more sensitive. It's easier for them to have a harder time controlling their emotions and be more impulsive with their emotions, which, if it's played out online, becomes a huge mess. So if they are able to express their emotions regularly in healthy ways and things aren't built up, they're less vulnerable to making mistakes online. And then we also need to educate them about just general online civility. Ethics. Never handle a conflict online. Never express anger online. Never express frustration to people online. If you're mad at somebody and you wouldn't say something to their face, do not say it online. I think we should encourage kids to never be on those anonymous, comment sites where people you don't know who's saying what. Those are just rife for problems. When people can put their name out there and say, what do you think about me? Because then they get all kinds of garbage, right? And they don't know who's saying the garbage. So I encourage them not to do that. I also think we should encourage them to take breaks. I think part of the education is it may be healthy to take some breaks, maybe for a night or a day or a weekend. Maybe you go on a place. Maybe you go someplace for the weekend just for a little family vacation. Maybe for everybody to turn off their phones and unhook for a day or a couple of days. I also think that might be really valuable before you let them get on some sort of computer game. or a networking site or whatever it might be, to sit down with them and look over that thing with them. And let your child educate you about what it's about. Let your child tell you how they're going to stay safe. They can even show you maybe some postings of some of their friends that are inappropriate, and they can tell you why they know it's inappropriate. Let them educate you about what they know about that site. And then if there's some gaps, fill them in. About safety, about appropriateness, about ethics and civility. I also think it's important to make really good, clear agreements with your kids about the usage. I've seen studies, more than one, that shows that if you ask parents, how many of you have really good boundaries and agreements with your kids, and how many of you follow through with your technology boundaries? 3/4, 85% of parents say, oh yes, I have great boundaries, I follow through, we're really good about that. But then if you ask their children, how many of you have parents who hold you to your agreements and kind of follow through? It's like only about a fourth of them say yes. They say, oh yeah, they say that stuff, but they don't really follow through. Parents who have good agreements and who have good accountability, their kids on average use technologies about 3 hours less a day than kids where there aren't good boundaries and good follow through. It's important. I'd make sure that the agreements are made together with them. I think kids, when it comes to anything, whether it's chores or homework or bedtimes, I think kids are much more cooperative when they're in part of the agreement-making process. I would get really clear about when, how, where, why. I would make agreements about what sites, how long they can be on sites, how much technology time, when during the day can they do it. And what you come up with is oftentimes less important than how you come up with it. But I'd make sure there's clear agreements. I would not allow TVs in rooms. I would not allow video games in rooms. I would not allow computers in rooms. I think it's okay for a teenager to have a phone in their room up until some time. I think when they go to bed, I wouldn't want them to have a phone in their room because it's just they just can't, right? Not look. And they say, well, I have to use it for my alarm clock. That's the most famous excuse they can't, why they have to have their phone, they can't. Well, I use it for my alarm clock. Well, there's these other things called alarm clocks. I also would let your kids know that you're going to monitor. And I want you to be in integrity with that. I think, though, you should tell them up front, I'm going to be checking your text, I'm going to be checking your sites periodically. I'm not going to read every line, I'm not going to read everything, but every once in a while, every week or two or something, I'm going to check, just to make sure, especially at the beginning, that you're being appropriate. I'd let them know that. Some people call it spying openly. Follow through. So whatever agreements you make, follow through. If your kids make mistakes, then I think that's an opportunity to sit down and say, what happened? So if they did something online or said something inappropriate or whatever, I would suggest you sit down and walk through like the decision points. Not as a punishment, not as a threat. If you don't do your homework, I'm going to take your phone away. It's more like either you're ready for this thing or you're not. And if you make a couple mistakes, you're telling us you're not ready for that. So I would take it away not for 2 days, but I'd take it away for weeks, maybe a month, a couple months, whatever it is. But in the meantime, they have to show you with some other areas of their life that they can be mature, responsible, control their impulses. Maybe the previous level of technology or some other place. I would give them a very clear path. As soon as you can show us A and B, then we'll know you're ready again to try C. I would connect with other parents. I would talk like we're doing now. The parents that your kids hang out with, I would try and get to know their parents. There's a lot of distrust, I think, amongst parents today. A lot of judgment. But I think the more connected you are to people and have conversations, you realize that most of us are pretty much on the same page. And that's nice. It's a nice united front to show kids. So when they come home and say, well, everybody else, you can say, well, I just talked to all those people. And it's not true. And also it would give you courage. It gives you courage to stand up and say, I want something healthier, more balanced for my kids. And it's nice to know I'm not the only one. I have some backing. That feels good. And then last thing, quickly, stay up to date with new stuff. New games, new sites. Make sure you know about them before you let your kids go on them. Educate yourselves as best you can so that you're not powerless. You may feel like it sometimes because your kids, I heard a lot of times we always talk about how our kids are so much better at this stuff than we are, which is maybe somewhat true. And we call them digital natives. But I read somewhere someone called them digital naives. Because even though they may know the technological parts, the social, emotional parts of it, the impulse control, they don't have as much. So I would consider them to be, they're natives and they're naive. So spend some time with this so you have the best result that you can.